wish we could be in person. It's so much more fun to be able to engage and, show each other around in that way. But I trust we'll be able to travel again in the next couple of years, I hope. So thank you so much for having me. I'm going to provide an overview of Hearken. There's so much more to say on any given slide that I'm on. So please, write down your questions and we'll get to as many as possible. So I'm going to go somewhat fast. If I'm speaking too quickly, just let me know because I have a habit of doing that. So Hearken, the word itself, you might have seen, means to listen and to give respectful attention. And so our goal is to help organizations, be they media organizations, city government, for-profit businesses, nonprofit, does not matter, is to help them better listen and serve the communities and their stakeholders. And so we are, as Ulrike said, we're on the forefront of some of this work in terms of listening and engagement, and we're really focused on helping to build communities that sustain organizations so that are paying or providing value in some way, shape, or form. And so we do consulting and we have technology, and I'll share a little bit of both of those things as we go through. So quick update, we've been in 250 organizations since we were founded 5 years ago across 90 countries. We powered a number of different organizations, including these. And really what we are focused on is flipping the traditional approach. So I'll explain this picture real quick, but this is how most media companies, most institutions actually operate, is where the institution is elevated above the public it's serving. And it's taking a position of authority saying, here's what we think you need to know. We're the experts. You're here to listen. And the public is really seen as, abstractly. So maybe their data or their dollar signs or their demographics, but they're not treated as individuals. They're kind of an amorphous audience, so to speak. And this approach positions the news organization as the parent, saying, you can't know what you need to know. I know what's best for you, so let me tell you. And it's really focused on telling and not actually listening. So the approach that we've been developing and helping newsrooms enact around the world for the last 5+ years is what we call a public powered approach. And what it is you can see here, is elevating the public, treating them as individuals, and not starting from a place of assertion and saying, here's what you need to know, but instead starting from a place of curiosity, saying, what do you not know that we can understand or find out? So this positions the newsroom as a servant, saying the public is smart enough to know what information needs they have, and we are going to open ourselves up to directly hear those so that we can be as relevant and useful as possible, which also leads to sustainability. And so this is a listening first approach versus a telling first approach. And what we found throughout all of these experiments we've been running is that this approach ensures adoption in terms of people being more loyal, coming back to the news organization because they have a stake. They are able to shape the content and matter in some way. It actually creates better systems and content that's born out of need versus someone's editorial instincts, which, they might not be bad or wrong, but most newsrooms do not reflect society at large in terms of the demographics and the lived experience. So by enabling people to come to the table with their ideas and their questions, you start to serve more people than you did before. And then it creates this iterative process because you're always listening. And so your organization can evolve as the public evolves. You don't have to have these big changes every 5 years, trying to catch up with how the world has changed. And we know right now the world is changing faster than it ever has, really, with so many different factors in play. And then importantly, this is really important in the US. I know Germany has more trust in the news publications than US citizens do in our news publications, but it does establish a foundation of trust to have this mutualistic relationship. And so speaking of mutualistic relationships, we call engagement, we think about it in the same way that we use that term outside of journalism, which is for marriage, when you get engaged. It's about a mutually beneficial relationship and about a supportive feedback loop. And so I'll take you through this real quick, but on the upper left and with purple is what a lot of newsrooms do. They invite some feedback from the public, and then the public gives feedback. Might be 10 pieces of feedback or it might be 10,000, doesn't matter. And a lot of times that's where engagement stops, is with counting, what number of feedback or insights that you got, but not actually doing anything with it. And so we joke that if you stop at that point, you just ask for something, you get it, but you don't actually do anything with it or tell people how you've used it, then you're being a quote unquote ask hole. So